Hello and welcome to a new season of First Take Challenge, Ultimate Goal. My name is Paul Smith, I'm the head referee for the state of Ohio. I'd like to spend a few minutes going through some key changes in Game Manual 1. There are actually two Game Manual Part 1s this season. One that covers the traditional events that we've been operating for many years. This is where teams compete with alliance partners in a head-to-head style competition. And new this season is Game Manual Part 1 for remote events. Remote events were developed to mimic traditional First Tech Challenge events while practicing social distancing guidelines. Since teams are not able to gather and compete in the traditional head-to-head competition format, the season's official full playing field has been adapted to allow teams to play as a single team and not as an alliance. Both versions of Game Manual Part 1 were released in July of this year, and I hope you've taken an opportunity to read through them. In these manuals, you will find everything from competition rules and definitions, our ranking and advancement criteria, robot mechanical, electrical and software requirements, as well as judging and award criteria. There is also information about the First Tech Challenge Dean's List. Before we move on to the season changes, just a reminder about first philosophies of gracious professionalism and competition. It can be expressed through 6 core values: discovery, innovation, impact, inclusion, teamwork, and fun. And we hope you enjoy expressing this in everything you do. Here is a summary of the key changes in Game Manual 1 for the season. We've already heard a lot about remote events, and we'll have a little more about this at the end. We have new ranking points and tiebreaker points calculation. This will apply for both the traditional and remote events. The control award has been elevated in the order of advancement. It has actually been switched with the design award. There will be no team supplied scoring element. There will be no robot weight limit, and no vacuum devices are permitted. Now, subject to the new Game Manual 2 that will be coming out, the game element launch height has been reduced from 6 feet to 5 feet. The Rev Control Hub and Expansion Hub are now both permitted. For the last few seasons we've been using the Expansion Hub, but teams will now be allowed to use the Rev Control Hub. The Control Hub is basically an expansion hub with an Android operating system. Android devices are now limited to specific Motorola products, so please ensure you check against the lists. First, we've introduced 2 PS4 Gamepads now for use with the driver station. And several judging and award criteria have also been changed, and these will be covered separately. Ranking points and tiebreaker points are awarded at the end of each qualification match, and the total ranking points determines the overall team ranking after all the qualification rounds are complete. Now, total tiebreaker points are used as the deciding factors for teams that end up with the same total ranking points. And if at the end of all that everything is equal between 2 teams, a random pick will decide the ranking. Now, this season, the ranking points and tiebreaker points calculation method has changed. In traditional play, the ranking points will be the alliance final score at the end of the match. In previous seasons, this was like 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, 0 for loss. But this season, the alliance final score at the end of the match will be the ranking points. Tiebreaker points has also changed, and this season it will be the Alliance Autonomous Period score. And if all things are equal on that, you will then move to tiebreaker point 2, which will be the Alliance Endgame Specific Task score. In remote play, the ranking points will be the team final score at the end of the match, since there is no alliance play. Then the tiebreaker points will be the team autonomous period score for tiebreaker point 1, and tiebreaker point 2 will be the team endgame specific task score. So as you see, the calculation for ranking points and tiebreaker points will be able to apply to both methods of play. One will be based on the alliance, the other will be based on the team. As mentioned earlier, the Control Award recipient has now moved up in the order of advancement, switching place with the Design Award winner. We have also seen the order of advancement applied to remote events, in which case it is the team that is recognized instead of the alliance. So in the past, the winning alliance captain would be second in order of advancement. This will now be the highest ranked team for that remote event competition. Then instead of the winning alliance first team selected, we'll move to the second highest team in the remote event. Also, we should note for events with 20 teams or less, the elimination rounds are reduced to 4 alliances of 2 teams versus 4 alliances of 3 teams. This has actually been in the game manual for many years, but with social distancing, we may be moving to smaller traditional events, in which case we will see more times this apply. Also this season, in the judging, there will be no third place judged awards for any event with 20 or less teams, in which case there will be no Inspire Award third place. This year there's been a subtle change in the general robot rules regarding launching of scoring elements. Previous years, a robot was allowed to launch to a height of 6 feet. This has now been reduced to 5 feet. Robots can launch scoring elements through the air unless it's limited by a game-specific rule. So we'll really have to wait until Game Manual 2 comes out to know whether this launching rule can be applied. First gave us a heads up last season that they would be sunsetting some of the more popular phones, namely the ZTE Speed, Google Nexus 5 and Samsung Galaxy S5. So this season the only smartphones that are allowed will be Motorola products. They hope to see this list somewhat grow, maybe this season, but certainly next season. And if there's any uncertainty over whether your phone is allowed or not, please check the FTC forum for any updates that may occur during the season. This season we also see the sunsetting of the modern robotics core control modules. They are not permitted anymore. However, First Tech Challenge is permitting use of the Rev Control Hub. This has been used in First Global for the past couple of seasons, and last season was used in First Tech Challenge on a limited test basis. This season it will be allowed to be used by any team. The Rev Control Hub is basically a Rev expansion hub with an integrated Android robot controller. The advantage of the Rev Control Hub over an expansion hub with an external phone is that you will have less cables, where therefore fewer opportunities for physical disconnects and fewer opportunities for cable-related static disruption. It also takes up a smaller footprint because you haven't got the phone close by. And it also operates on 2.4 and 5 GHz radio frequencies. The Rev Robotics has control over the Android operating system. Unlike with a phone, it is designed for use as a phone. Also of note is that a separate UVC compatible camera will be required for any vision related tasks using the Rev Control Hub, as obviously it does not have a camera built on board. In all cases, whether you select the Rev Control Hub or an expansion hub with its Android device, you can add one more Rev expansion hub if you need more input-output ports. And of course, all systems still require an additional Android smartphone for the driver station. With the discontinuation of the Xbox 360 controller, we were down to basically one controller that was allowed in First Tech Challenge, so This season they have validated and now permitted use of a couple of PS4 controllers, as you can see here. It should be noted that although Rev does a gamepad and is used in First Global, it is still not allowed in FTC. So what are some of the considerations for remote events? Well, first of all, the teams are going to have to play the season game in their own robot lab or area or some facility nearby that they can gain access to using a half field. The teams aren't going to join alliances or compete directly against other teams in this remote environment, otherwise it would defeat the object of social distancing. Teams will get a 7-day window for the specific remote event that they registered for, and will submit their 6 official qualification match scores to First through an FTC cloud-based scoring system. The actual timing of the remote event window will be released at a later point by Ohio FTC. Scores and standings will be based on how many points the team scores in the traditional 30-second autonomous and 2-minute driver control periods. As we discussed earlier, the ranking points and tiebreaker points will be based on team scores. Teams will be given access to the official cloud-based FTC scoring system while they record and update their official match scores during the remote event window. This will have to be done by somebody who is 18 plus. Scoring may be done on paper or with FTC Live software as long as the data is uploaded later during the event window. Now, since you're doing this in your own facilities, there won't be any official game officials. Teams will be responsible for honesty and accuracy for scoring their official matches. Referees won't be utilized. Video verification will not be required. Therefore, gracious professionalism and personal integrity is the expectation of anyone involved with this First Tech Challenge program. First and Ohio FTC will provide more guidance and training in the coming weeks. So in closing, the season is obviously going to come with its challenges. We have 2 game manuals that we have to become familiar with. I encourage you to read them all in its entirety. Today we only covered some of the key changes from the past season, and it's the team's responsibility to be compliant with all of the rules. Typically there'll be 1 or 2 revisions to the Game Manual 1 throughout the season, including today, and there'll also be other interpretations and rule changes listed in the Q&A forum. So check the 2021 legal and illegal parts list if you've got any uncertainty about what's allowed and what isn't. There's a link available in the Game Manual Part 1, or you can check the Inspector section of the FTC Volunteer Resource Library. Please regularly check the FTC Forum Q&A for rule updates and interpretations. The link is right here in this presentation. You can post questions on the forum and they'll be answered by an official game expert. And those forum rulings will take precedence over all information in both Game Manual 1 and 2. All of the forum Q&A are summarized and posted weekly on the FTC Game and Season Materials page. I've listed that link here, but it's the same page where the game manuals are at. You just scroll down about halfway and you will see a PDF version of that document. So before you head into an event or a tournament, make sure that you've checked that for any rule changes. If you have any questions for the forum, you need to register and log in with a system username. And each registered First Tech Challenge team will receive 1 set of credentials, or a login basically, for the entire team to share. This is not the same username and password you use to log in the First portal or First dashboard. Your team's lead coach 1 and 2 will have received an email from First with those forum credentials. So if you have a question to ask, please check with your lead coach for the login credentials. it'll be of the format FTC something something something. So if you need any help with that, logging into the FTC Q&A forum, please send the email to ftcteams@firstinspires.org. Let's point out, as I say, because they are the official answers, any answers you might get from somewhere else may not be the correct interpretation of something. So please check there first, or at least follow up after you've asked somebody else. Well, I hope you all found something useful in the Game Manual 1 presentation. I hope you all have a great season of First Tech Challenge. Good luck, everybody.